Hello Star Wars fans, and welcome back to my channel. Now, with the arrival of live-action Thrawn in the Ahsoka series, whether he shows up at the end or whether he'll, have a continued presence throughout the season, a lot of questions are being asked, in particular about what from the Thrawn series of books will be in the Ahsoka series, or will that be a transition into an actual Thrawn series? Because in Legends, Legends are always better, Thrawn becomes the de facto leader of the remnants of the Empire. So he's able to have access to all the records Palpatine kept, and begins to kind of pick and choose what Palpatine left behind at his various caches throughout the universe, or throughout the galaxy. And one of these is something that's already been brought up a couple of times, just very subtly. Now, we saw in The Mandalorian, I believe it was Season 2, where they look at this forward operating base, or they think it's a forward operating base, come to find out it's a cloning facility. Then in the Bad Batch, we have the actual Bad Batch unit go to Mount Tantiss. And a lot of people are asking the question, how significant is Mount Tantiss going to be to Thrawn, to the Ahsoka series? And sadly, a lot of people who haven't read the Thrawn series haven't really realized how important Mount Tantiss was to Thrawn's overall plan. Now, it's located on a planet called Wayland, and it started out as this kind of secret cloning facility for Palpatine. It was one of his hidden caches where he kept jewels and, artwork, and then it turned into where he kept a lot of his Sith holocrons. He even had a lab in there where he and Dooku actually did Sith sorcery. So it was a lot more than just your run-of-the-mill cloning facility. It was so much more. It was essentially Palpatine's home away from home. He even had a throne room installed in that thing. Now, it's probably famously used for its cloning, and they even went so far as to actually clone a Jedi. Now, whether he makes an appearance in the Ahsoka series, I'm not quite sure. I would like for him to show up because he is tied to Luke. Now, Mount Tantiss ended up being ruled by this crazed clone Jedi named Joruus C'baoth. I hope I'm pronouncing the last name right. Thrawn even shows up to enlist the aid of this cloned Jedi. And Mount Tantiss was even the home of some of Palpatine's clones. And it's interesting how the Sith always seek for eternal life or immortality. One of Palpatine's ideas was to transfer his consciousness to a younger clone of himself so he could keep living basically forever and ever and ever. And without giving too much away, you find out what happens to Luke's hand that was cut off in Empire Strikes Back. It has ties to Mount Tantiss. Now, Disney lore kind of touched on it, kind of to see what was going on. But older Star Wars fans, such as myself, the ones who've read the books throughout the 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s, there's so much more to Mount Tantiss. And I'm really hoping, because Thrawn is supposed to be the big bad villain in the Ahsoka series, there's even talks about him getting his own series. What's gonna happen? Now, will we see other characters from the Thrawn books? I don't know. But I'm really hoping that they do justice to Mount Tantiss and bring it into the Ahsoka series. But I have a question for you.